Hey, good morning. Gorgeous day out today. I mean, it's not nearly as humid, bright, sunny. It's just gorgeous day. So, hey, good morning. Welcome back to Mountain Creek Real Estate Group's YouTube channel. And we're going to go ahead and talk about sellers today. We're going to talk about selling your home. So at some point here, down here is the lake, where we walk down every morning. Let me see if I can do that. And so down there is the lake. You're gonna see my 9-year-old son running up at some point by us. He's going down to get some floaties and stuff because they're gonna go to the splash pad in Meeks Park in Blairsville. And they're gonna go there today and enjoy a little bit left of summer. So let's go ahead and let's talk about sellers. So we talked about buyers the other day, and we talked about, the process of buying and some of the things to look for and some of the things you want to keep in mind. So selling is a little bit, as far as process goes, a little bit easier. It's not easier as far as how stressful it can be because, oh, look at that. Let's go right over here. So it's not as process intensive. There's not a lot of things you have to have in a checklist. When you're selling something, you don't have to proceed the funds to buy. But, there's a lot of timing issues that you want to, most times, we live in a house and we kind of enjoy living in a house again. So we're always trying to time not only selling our house, but buying one at the same time is usually how it works. Sometimes we're selling a second home, so it's not as necessary or an investment or something like that. But let's just assume that you're selling one to buy another one. Some of the things we look at is, I see people go on and, they want to know first right off, what is my house worth? How much money can I get? Oh, here's this. Let's see if we can see him. Where is he? Oh, there he is. You want to say hi to the world?
Hey.
He's getting all his floats and stuff and gonna have a fun time today. Have fun, okay?
I will.
All right, I love you. Okay, so some of the things that people ask me all the time is like, hey, how much is my house worth? And I look at it and I say $15 or $14 million, whatever number. I that's not how I do it. I don't just give you a number. That's not how you do it. And there's no simple way to do it. There's an idea of getting a ballpark. We got usually 3 numbers that we're concerned about when we're selling a house that we always look at. We look at like an independent site. Let's just use Zillow because that's probably the one that we see a lot of. Is like, this estimate says my house is worth $565,000. Awesome. Okay. The other one is the tax records have my house assessed at $352,000. Okay. Yep. See that? And then the other one is, my neighbor sold his house for $650,000. I mean, I should get that, right? Okay. These are all, there's valid arguments to be made about all of them. Let's talk about, these estimates first. Is that this is just based off raw data numbers like, hey, price per square foot in a certain location within an area. It doesn't take into fact, your house might be updated. You might have hardwood floors, the other person has vinyl. You might have a view, they don't have a view. You might have lake frontage, they don't. All this stuff that comes in there, they do some of it, but it's really just a raw number. It's not that accurate. Tax estimates, same idea. They're looking at recent sales in the area, your sale of your home, how it's labeled. They don't care about updates and stuff inside your house. In fact, you kind of want that one to be lower. So a lot of times they'll be based off of like an initial sales price and just steady incline in, property value. That's how they raise it. So you could have a house that they say is worth $265,000. In reality, it can be worth close to $1 million. So that's not the most accurate other one. Your neighbor across the street, well, they sold it for $650,000, but they redid their entire inside of their house. And they also have an awesome view on their backyard, and they have a new deck and all this stuff. So it's not the same kind of comparison that you can do. Switching all around here because my arms get tired just holding it straight out. But so what do we look at? You need to, you can get an appraisal. You can get an appraiser to come in. Appraisers like to do the job when they know like it's a sales price or a certain value that has to be hit. They're trying to come to that value. That's a lot of times what they're doing. Not all the time. A lot of times they'll do a cost approach. You know, even like a insurance agent's going to do the same thing. And they're going to be basing it off of like, you know, kind of like how the other platforms use it. You know, just a cost basis based on just raw data, square footage. That's where we come in. This is our job. This is what we're supposed to be able to do. I'm supposed to be able to tell you what you are going to be able to sell your house for in this market and the value you can expect to receive. And not only that, but kind of give you an estimate of how long it's going to take to sell it based on what it is. Now, none of this is set in stone, obviously. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, we just know what's happening now. So we base it on data. So what I like to do is I'll take your home and I want to look, and especially up here, it's a little bit, we can go out almost all of Blairsville area and look at it. We're using Blairsville example. And so your home's located in Blairsville. I'm going to use all Blairsville, and I'm going to try to find one that is a lot like your home, you know, double, 2-story, maybe has a view, decks, you know, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So many square footage. I'm going to try to find ones down there that it's sold within the last 6 months. As many as I can find, the better. Okay. If I can find you, you know, 9 homes and I can get a pretty good idea of what they're selling, I can kind of tell you, hey, this is what everything's sold for. This is the value we can expect. I also look at pending sales, things that are under contract right now. You don't know what they're under contract for. That can be negotiated, but at least it gives us an idea of what's out there and what's being bought right now, what kind of homes. And thirdly, I look at what's active. What is for sale right now? What's your direct competition? Where are they priced at? Because if you're a buyer and you're looking at homes, this is what you're going to look at, in your home included. And, you know, without being any bias in it, where would you rather look? So you have to be in a price point where it sticks out where you want to be. You don't want to be, well, I want to, you know, be priced here because, you know, my neighbor sold here. That's not going to help you in the long run. Sure, I'll list it. You know, if I'm coming up with a value of 600,000, you're like, I really want 650. You know, I mean, that's not too much of a difference. We can work on that, but I'm going to warn you, and I'm going to talk to you about the reasons why I wouldn't list there. Is, believe it or not, sometimes when we list at a higher price, we end up getting less than what we would have at original price. So if I come up with a value that, hey, it's 600 is what your house is worth, and I say, let's list it at $599.9. Okay, has an appealing, it's under 600. It hits some criteria and stuff, and you're like, I really want 650. Let's list it at 657. Okay. Well, in that price range, there's a lot more houses that have more features as good, if not better than, you know, better than what yours has. They're all on the market at the same time. Now you have a lot more competition. Now you're looking at, if we're in a market like we are right now, now you're looking at, am I able to compete with the people that are in my price range? So if I'm, regardless of how we market it, and we market, I'll get into marketing here in a second. You want to be where yours is, as, you know, like they're going to want to see yours along with everybody else's. You don't want to sit time on market. If you're sitting time on market, your only options after that at some points are reducing it, you know, and then you're reducing. People start seeing reducing. It's, imagine yourself as a buyer. Hey, that house has been on for 200 days. They've already dropped it 50,000. Now we're back at the original point where we suggested at. Now people are just going to be like sharks in the water, and they're going to be like, I'll give you 550. I'll give you, you know, they're going to go a lot lower. You're going to end up sometimes getting less than what we originally had. Good times, sometimes we want to list it at a thing where we want to get lots and lots of showings within the first couple weeks. Get to a point where we have multiple offers. And get to a point where people are competing and we can get over a list price sometimes. Not all the time. And in this market, it's a lot less likely, but it does happen. So there is a strategy. So I would say, you know, hopefully your realtor is able to explain to you why they came up with the price, the reason why they want to list at a price. And I'll go over that till we're comfortable with it. But again, you're the owner, you're the customer, you're in charge. You have final say, yay or nay. So it's all stuff that we work together on. Okay, so let's go on to marketing your home real quick. I work with an amazing platform right now and I'm sure you've seen commercials, homes.com, where they just blast your listing everywhere. They put it all over the place. It follows you all through the web on, CNN, Fox News, the Weather Channel, MLB, ESPN, anywhere that you're at on the internet and you look at a home, this thing will kind of follow you around. They do, retargeting ads, which everybody hates, but they're effective. And that's why they do them. So they also own lands.com. They own a couple other sites, and they feature your listing everywhere. So you're getting prominent displays on your listing. A lot of times when you look at these search engines and search pages, you're looking at the first couple pages. So you want your home to be up in that first couple pages that potential buyers are looking at. So make sure when you're talking to a realtor that they explain their marketing strategy. They should have one. If you're selling a home, they should be doing professional photography. They should have a good photographer. You should ask for their work, see some of the other listings so you know what to expect. You should know their marketing strategy. How are you going to market my home? How are you going to get it out to everybody? What's your plan on getting it shown? All this stuff. So these are some of the things that in the initial interviews and stuff, or the second interviews with realtors, that you're asking them and they're able to explain. All these people are going to do, if you're right, you're going to compare realtors to other realtors. You're going to talk to them and you're going to figure out which one fits you best. Because again, like a buying relationship, this is going to be one where you're going to be in constant contact with the listing agent for, it could be, 30 days, it could be 90 days, it could be a whole year. So you're going to get to know them. So pick one that you can have good communication with. That is the most imperative thing, is availability. If you try to get a hold of your listing agent and you can't for like a day or two, something's wrong. Unless they're having an emergency or there is a valid excuse, they should, no agent is that busy where they can't get back to you by the end of the day at some point, even text message or whatever it is. I hear that all the time. It's hard in our industry to deal with other agents that may not respond in kind, and it makes our job harder as the agent for our clients. So make sure you have good communication. Make sure they have a good marketing strategy. Make sure they can explain themselves, and make sure they have the exposure that you need. Last thing I'm going to talk about, one of the last things I'm going to talk about is compensation. Okay, so there's no surprise. We all get paid. I earn money, you earn money. Everybody has to pay bills, until we're on the other side and we're with Jesus and we're dancing in the streets of gold, we're paying bills. We're surviving. We have to eat. We have to pay all our bills. So I do the same thing. This is how I make my living. So one of the common questions I have is, what do you charge for, the commission rate? Typically in North Georgia, what I charge is 6%. So 6% covers what I would get paid. And then I pay from my proceeds, that 6%, I pay a buyer's agent, buyer's broker, 3%. So we're both getting 3%. That's typically what it is. On land, it could be anywhere from 6 to 10%, depending on the land. Again, it's a competitive market. So we want to be competitive with what we offer for commissions. All this stuff should be baked into your final sales price number. So you understand, hey, what I'm going to be paying at certain times. Your realtor should be explaining this very directly. This is what you're looking to take home after everything is said and done. Transparency is the best way to do this. There should be no surprises. There should be no issues with it. And you can negotiate commissions. That's common. What I would suggest, you just use me. That's what I suggest. But what I would also suggest is that even though somebody down the street may offer you a 5% or 4% commission rate, okay? I mean, that sounds great, but, you know, if I'm buying a car and I'm buying one for $40,000 or I'm buying one for $20,000, I'm going to expect a difference in the quality, right? And a lot of times, the people that are offering a lot less, they may not be able to get you as much money as somebody that offers you a little bit more. So it's not always about commission, because that's just bottom hard lines. If I'm marketing your stuff right, if I'm showing your stuff on the internet, and if I'm getting in front of buyers, and I'm bringing showings and stuff like that, and I'm creating a competition, and I'm charging 6%, and because of all that, I was able to get you $600,000. Now you owe me $36,000 for a commission, okay? That 36 gets split up. We pay all our stuff, like the photographers, all that stuff that we do from that, liabilities, insurance, insurance, all my overhead, all my advertisement, how I advertise all your stuff all over the place, all that gets baked into that. Then half of it goes to the other agent. Now you use somebody else and they were going to do a 4% commission, okay? And because they didn't work maybe as hard, or they weren't as qualified, or they didn't have the connections that somebody else has, and they don't pay all the other overhead that I pay to get your stuff advertised, and you're only able to get $550. Now you owe them for $22,000, so 2% less commission, so $11,000 less, give or take, than what it is. But you just made yourself $50,000 less on the sales price. Who's going to get you more money? That's what it is. It's not always about the gross, it's about the net. What are you going to take home? What's going to be the best value overall? So look at that when you're talking to a listing agent. Look at all the things, because you'll be much more happy. I found out you're much more happy paying for great service than having to pay less for bad service. If you're more satisfied in the end, yeah, you paid more money, but in the end you made more money, where are you going to be happier at? Where are you going to trust things at? So look at all the options on it. Some other things I'll just go over. As the listing agent, we'll talk again about like the idea of selling your home and buying a home at the same time, some of the things we look at. But, a couple more odds and ends. A good realtor will also walk through and point out things that they see in your house that may be deficiencies, and may point them out, like things you want to do, repairs, clean up and everything. Some things I would always advise when you're selling a home is declutter as much as you can. Declutter, and then when you think you're done, do more. Take down as many things, open up as much as you can. If you can rent the storage facility for a little bit, get boxes in there, great. If you have a garage where you can just stuff everything in so buyers can see that it's neat, they want to see the space. They don't care about your furniture and stuff, all there. They care more about the space. They want to be able to see it. So if you're covered up and you're living every day and they can't see it, it's a bad impression. It could be the same house, just one's cluttered and one's not. The other thing is, if you can get photos when it's staged, or at least with furniture in there. It helps define the spaces. That's always a good option. It's great to have a vacant home. So if you have a place, if you can have a vacant where they can see whenever, that's great. It gets shown more often. I've seen it a lot of times. Sometimes you want to just fit a house in as quick as you can, and it's vacant. It's easy to show. The other thing, repairs. Everybody's always worried about the repairs that they're going to have to make on their home. If somebody comes in to do an inspection. Remember, it's all negotiable. Okay. Sometimes it's as easy as, instead of doing all the repairs, you take a little bit of money off the sales price, or you do, maybe like a little bit towards their closing costs, so they have cash in hand and stuff. Sometimes you've negotiated a price, and that's where you're going to stick firm at, and you don't have to worry about doing repairs. You said, no. We negotiated this price, and the idea that it's going to be kind of as is, unless there's safety and whatever else. Your realtor should be able to guide you through this and help negotiate. There's basic negotiations that they should be able to do with the other realtor. So again, pick somebody that has qualifications and knows what they're doing. So they're walking you through, so you're not as stressed as you have to be. Appraisal, Yeah, everybody gets worried about that too. But if you have a realtor that's done his job, that's kind of, told you what the compensated price is, don't worry about appraisal. It's going to appraise, because that's where we do the same way as an appraisal does, if not more in detail. They're going to do the same thing, and appraisers are looking to get value met. So if they see a sales price, they have to have a real compelling reason why it's not going to hit that sales price. Now, I'm not saying they're going to just fudge numbers. You have to be accurate. I can't have a house that's worth $500,000 and sell it for $700,000 and think it's going to appraise. It's got to make sense. But again, a good realtor should be able to help you with that part and help guide you through those concerns and talk to you about it. If I can leave you with one thing, and we'll talk more about other things and get into detail, is communication is the most important thing, whether you're buying, selling a home, whether you're working with a realtor or whatever. Communication is the most important thing that you can have. So make sure your realtor is open and available and communicates well with you, okay? That is going to be the basis of anything. And to be able to negotiate. And make sure they know what they're talking about. I mean, if you're looking at him like, this guy has no clue what he's talking about, maybe he doesn't have any clue what he's talking about. There's a lot of people that don't do this seriously. There's a lot of people that do this part-time. Nothing wrong with that. It's great to do it part-time. I think it's an awesome side job to do. But some people there's people that put it in to do it part-time and don't really care about it, okay? Each individual is different. So make sure you're talking to them and you're comfortable with who's listing your home. All the other details will take care of themselves. I help buy and sell homes all day, every day, all year, every year, for over 11 years. It's what I do. So if you have questions, reach out to me and ask. My office phone number is 706-744-3023. My email is chrisryan30512@gmail.com. And the website is www.mountaintcreekrealestategroup.com. And I put it all in the descriptions on all these videos. So subscribe, like, hit all the stuff so I can make these videos and stuff like that. And we're getting some exposure, but, share them with your friends. And, if you have any comments, you have any questions, reach out to me, send me a text, leave a comment. We can get to that. But until next time, have a great day. God's beauty is everywhere. Love walking this land. I love this. I love the North Georgia mountains. I think this is as close to paradise as I can get. Come visit us up here. We'll talk to you again. Have a good one. Bye.